Hello everyone, and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. For weeks, tension had been building in the sumptuous hallways of Forrester Creations, threatening to explode. Eric Forrester, the renowned patriarch who founded the fashion industry with his late wife Stephanie, was marginalized in ways he never believed imaginable. Ridge, Eric's son and current CEO, had planned a surprise retirement party, portraying it as a celebration of his legacy, but Eric believed it was a gentle yet hard shove out the door. He wasn't ready to give up his sketchpad. At home, he had poured his heart into new designs, elaborate gowns, and suits that exuded the timeless elegance that had marked Forrester for decades. Donna, his loyal companion, supported him, seeing the fire still burning in his eyes, but she was concerned about the stress on his health, even if previous concerns had been baseless. Katie Logan, a longtime employee at Forrester Creations in public relations and management positions, felt similarly devalued. Brooke, her sister, and Ridge had hired outside staff, reducing Katie's contributions despite her years of dedication. Bill Spencer, Katie's ex-husband and the father of her son Will, saw an opportunity to bring her back into the Spencer family. He offered her the opportunity to oversee her own division at Spencer Publications, but it grew into something bigger, her own fashion house, backed by his vast finances. Katie, buoyed by this vote of confidence, agreed, naming the new enterprise simply Logan, a strong assertion of her own personality in an industry dominated by the Forrester name. Katie's new brand swiftly gained traction in Los Angeles' tight-knit fashion circles. Brooke was furious, claiming that Logan was linked to her own famous fame as Brooke Logan, the face of numerous Forrester advertisements. Ridge supported Brooke, seeing Katie's move as a betrayal, especially because the trademark had expired under Forrester's supervision, allowing Katie to acquire it. Family dinners became contentious, with Donna caught in the middle, attempting to mediate between her sisters while also supporting Eric through his own problems. Eric felt a connection to Katie's situation after hearing whispers about it through Donna. Both had been made to feel outdated by the very family and firm they had helped establish. Katie paid a visit one afternoon as snow coated the manicured lawns of the Forrester Mansion, which is unusual for Los Angeles but appropriate for the holiday season. She had come to meet Donna, but Eric beckoned her into his study, where designs were spread across the huge desk like fallen leaves from a creative storm. "Katie, my dear," Eric said, his voice warm but with a rare edge of determination. He motioned for her to settle in the leather armchair opposite him. Donna's favorite candles left a slight citrus scent throughout the room, along with aged wood. "I've heard about your new company, Logan. You made a bold choice." Katie smiled slightly, crossing her legs and smoothing her fitted skirt.
"Thank you, Eric.
"It's terrifying but exciting. Bill's giving me everything I need: space, funding, freedom. No more being in the background." Eric nodded, leaning forward, his eyes flashing with the mischief of a man who had changed fashion numerous times. "Freedom. That's what I've been missing. Ridge thinks he's protecting me, putting me out to pasture like some old stallion. But I have designs, Katie. A whole collection burning inside me." He pulled out a portfolio, flipping it open to reveal stunning renderings, flowing evening gowns with intricate beading, sharp menswear that blended classic tailoring with modern edge. Katie's eyes widened. She knew greatness when she saw it. "These are incredible," she muttered, brushing a finger across a sketch of a red carpet-worthy gown. Quintessential Eric Forrester. Eric chuckled quietly. "Exactly. And no one at Forrester seems to want them. Ridge is focused on the future, his vision. But the future needs roots, Katie. It needs legacy." Katie leaned back, understanding where this was headed. Rumors circulated that Eric might offer his name or direction to her nascent home, but she had not dared to hope. "Eric, if you're saying what I think you are..." He raised his hand, his demeanor serious. "I am considering it. Joining you. Bringing my designs to Logan. It would be a fresh start for me, a way to prove I'm not done. And for you it would be, well, a game changer. The Forrester touch on a Spencer-backed Logan line? The press would eat it up." Katie's pulse was racing. This might propel her company into direct competition with Forrester Creations and send shockwaves throughout the industry. But she knew Eric well enough to know he would not jump without assurances. I'd be honored, Eric. Beyond honored. But I sense there's more. Eric smiled knowingly, perceptive as always. Yes, Katie, there are 2 conditions if you want me to join your company. He paused, allowing the weight to settle. Outside, the light faded into evening, leaving lengthy shadows over the room. First, he said, full creative control over my collection. No interference from Bill or anyone else on the business side. My designs, my vision. I won't be a figurehead. I want to be the lead designer, hands-on, just like the old days. Katie gave a quick nod. Absolutely. That's why I'd want you. No one touches Eric Forrester's work. Eric softened his expression. Good. The second condition is more personal. Donna. She's my rock, Katie. If I do this, it has to be a place where she feels welcome, involved if she wants. No sidelining her because of family loyalties. Brooke and Ridge have made things strained enough. I won't have Donna torn between her love for me and her sisters. Katie fully comprehends. Donna had been Eric's staunch ally through thick and thin, and alienating her would shatter everything. Of course, Donna's family to me, too. She can have whatever role she wants, advisor, hostess for events, whatever makes her happy. This isn't about dividing the Logans. It's about building something new. Eric leaned back, satisfied, a spark returning to his gaze that hadn't been there since the retirement party. Then we have a deal? Katie extended her hand, and they shook hands, the agreement establishing a collaboration that would alter LA fashion. However, as excitement grew, so did the fear of repercussions. Ridge would be enraged, viewing it as a betrayal. Brooke would consider it a personal attack. Bill would welcome the rivalry as his old resentment toward Ridge resurfaced. Word spread slowly at first. Donna confided in Brooke at a sisterly lunch, hoping for understanding, but Brooke's expression hardened. Eric with Katie? Against us? The news reached Ridge at work, and he slammed his fist into his desk, scattering sketches. Steffi, ever faithful to her father, promised to uphold Forrester's dominance. Hope, torn between loyalties, concerned about her Aunt Katie, yet respected her bravery. Eric moved immediately after making his decision. He packed his home studio, designs and fabric swatches filling boxes bound for Logan's sleek new headquarters in a glittering downtown tower, which Bill had acquired. The room was modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the metropolitan skyline, in stark contrast to Forrester's historic beauty. Katie greeted him warmly, introducing him to the small team she had created, which included new designers eager to learn from the master. Their first collaborative session was electrifying. Eric placed his designs across a large table, while Katie shared marketing and branding tips. We'll launch with your couture line as the centerpiece, she told me. Call it Eric Forrester for Logan. Elegant, timeless, with a fresh edge. He was beaming. And we'll show them what real innovation looks like. As preparations progressed, the rivalry heated up. Forrester scouts attempted to steal concepts, and tabloids speculated about a fashion war. Bill pushed his support behind campaigns, earning Prime magazine covers and celebrity endorsements. Ridge responded with bold new efforts, but murmurs in the business backed the underdog. Logan's combination of legacy and renewal. Family gatherings become battlefields. Brooke addressed Katie quietly in the kitchen at an Eric and Donna-hosted holiday dinner. This is dividing us all. Eric belongs at Forrester. Katie stood steadfast. He belongs where he's valued. Brooke, just like I do. Eric overheard and softly stepped in. Brooke, my dear, this isn't about vengeance. It's about passion. The fire never dies. Ridge came late, the tension sizzling as father and son faced off in the living room. Dad, come back. We need you. Eric shook his head. You needed me retired, Ridge. Now let me create. Logan's launch event was spectacular, a rooftop banquet under starlight, models gliding in Eric's dresses that shimmered like dreams. Critics raved, and orders came in. Forrester felt the pinch. with sales falling as shoppers flocked to the new experience. Despite the success, bonds strained but did not break completely. Donna bridged gaps by holding neutral parties. Hope paid a visit to Katie's workplace to give assistance. Even Steffi recognized privately that Eric's work was exceptional. Logan thrived for months, showing Katie's vision and Eric's enduring talent. Eric, energized, sketched more than ever, his conditions ensuring harmony in his new surroundings. Katie, as CEO, handled the storms with grace, and her company is a testimony to second chances. Finally, the fashion world benefited from the competition. Forrester adapted, innovating again under pressure. Families healed gradually, with forgiveness weaved like threads in a garment. Eric and Katie's collaboration became famous, proving that true creators never retire. They merely find new canvases. The drama continued, of course. Romances flared, secrets surfaced. But at its core, the story of Eric's two requirements altered everything, transforming imagined endings into bold beginnings. Katie's company skyrocketed, Eric's legacy shone brighter, and Los Angeles fashion surged with fresh energy. Rivalries fueled creativity, affiliations tested toughness, and nothing remained constant in the glittering world of haute couture. As the seasons changed, so did alliances. Bill and Katie got closer as they achieved success together, with hints of a rekindling of their old passion. Ridge meditated on his choices, coming closer to Eric. Brooke, ever the survivor, finds methods to help both sides covertly. Eric, sketching late into the night, frequently paused to smile. His criteria had been straightforward: artistic freedom and love's inclusion. Katie had given him something more when she granted them a renaissance. And in the never-ending cycle of family and fashion, that was everything. Logan's offices were buzzing with excitement, with fresh designers learning from Eric and absorbing his experience. Katie oversaw it all, her confidence growing. They had challenges, such as supply shortages and competitors' copy designs, but they worked together to overcome them. After a fantastic performance, Eric raised a glass to Katie. To conditions met and dreams realized. She clinked her glass against his. To new legacies. And thus the story of the Forresters, Logans, and Spencers continued, layer by layer of drama, emotion, and elegance. Eric stood by the office's broad windows, hands clasped behind his back, watching the afternoon light descend over Los Angeles. Years of experience hung softly on his shoulders, not with regret, but with perspective. When Katie invited him to meet, he sensed it was more than just a casual talk. It was never the case with family, and it was certainly not when it came to business and legacy. Katie came with measured confidence, a folder under her arm, and a hopeful yet guarded look. She'd learned long ago that Eric Forrester didn't give anything away easily, including his time, expertise, and commitment. Still, she believed in what she was creating, and she was confident that Eric could see it too. She talked first, describing her vision for the organization. Profit and reputation were not the only considerations. She discussed balance, about developing a fashion company that valued heritage while embracing innovation, a place where creativity did not come at the expense of integrity. Eric listened intently as she spoke, his face unreadable, his thoughts plainly elsewhere and everywhere at once. When she finished, the room went silent. Katie waited, fighting the impulse to fill it with additional explanations. She knew better. Eric eventually turned to face her, his gaze keen but not unfriendly. He told her he respected her courage. Starting something fresh in a world already packed with powerful names was no easy task. He acknowledged her personal and professional development, admitting that her determination reminded him of himself in previous years. That alone felt like a victory for Katie, but she realized it wasn't the solution she was looking for. Eric then informed her that there were conditions. He clarified that joining her company was more than just a commercial move for him. That was a statement. His name conveyed weight, history, and expectations. If he supported her venture, it had to represent more than just ambition. The first criteria concerned creative independence. Eric made it plain that he would not serve as a figurehead. If he joined, his voice would count. He sought confidence that his expertise would be valued and not overshadowed by trends or rash decisions. He was not interested in nostalgia, but he also did not want to see craftsmanship compromised for speed. Katie listened closely and nodded as he spoke. She had expected it. In fact, she embraced it. She assured him that she wanted him for more than just his name. She desired his wisdom, steady hand, and ability to look beyond the present. Her company, she claimed, was designed to collaborate, not to suppress. Eric examined her for a moment, as if considering not only her words, but also her sincerity. Then he moved on to the second condition, which he agreed was more challenging. The company, he claimed, could not be based on division. Family had always been complex, especially in their culture, where love and rivalry frequently overlapped. He refused to participate in anything that existed to compete for spite or to demonstrate supremacy over the Forresters. If Katie's company was intended to undercut or retaliate, he didn't want to be involved. His participation would necessitate transparency, respect, and a determination to keep personal vendettas out of business choices. This had a more profound impact. Katie drew a breath before responding. She admitted that her background had shaped her and that there were wounds she couldn't hide. However, she claimed that this enterprise was not about vengeance. It was about making something authentic, something that reflected who she was today, rather than who she had been when she was most hurt or furious. She desired achievement, but not at the expense of her principles or her family. Eric could hear the truth in her speech, but he was also aware of how fragile intentions can be when power is involved. He promised her that if he joined, he would hold her accountable, just as he expected her to hold him accountable. This was not a mentorship relationship. It was a collaboration founded on mutual respect. Their discourse shifted to memories, events from the past that had shaped them both. Eric discussed mistakes he had made, instances when pride had blinded him, and lessons that had cost him more than he had anticipated. Katie discussed her own path, the doubts she had overcome, the times she had underestimated herself, and the power she had discovered by standing on her own. As the sun went down, the atmosphere softened. What had started out as a negotiation evolved into something quite else, a bridge between generations, between experience and possibility. Eric stated that part of him felt scared. Starting something new meant risking failure, and at his age, failure felt more serious. But stagnation, he admitted, felt worse. Katie informed him that she was not promising assurance, but rather commitment. She could not guarantee that every decision would be perfect, but she could offer honesty and effort. She wanted him there not just to guide them, but also to remind them of why fashion was important to them in the first place. Eric requested time. He needed to contemplate, sit with the notion, and consider what his part would be beyond the first excitement.
Katie respected that.
She gathered her folder, thanked him for listening, and prepared to leave, confident that, regardless of his decision, she had spoken the truth. Eric called her name as she approached the door. He explained that conditions were foundations rather than hurdles. If she sincerely accepted them, he believed they might create something important together. Not instantly, not without obstacles, but with intention. Katie smiled, her relief and determination shining through. She stated that she accepted both the conditions and the responsibility that came with them. She hoped that whatever they built would be something they could both be proud of. After she departed, Eric was alone in the office, with the silence returning like a familiar companion. He peered out the window again, but this time his reflection appeared attentive and resolute. He learned that joining Katie was not about beginning again, it was about continuing, passing on what was important while yet leaving opportunity for growth. Conversations lasted for several days afterward. Contracts were addressed, roles outlined, and boundaries established. There were times of disagreement, even hostility, as well as laughter and mutual excitement. Eric challenged Katie, and she challenged him in kind, pushing each other to improve. Eric Forrester was exploring a new chapter, and word traveled discreetly about it. Reactions were varied, as they always were, but Eric had ceased basing his decisions on popular approval. This was a personal decision. The focus was on legacy rather than control. Katie felt the weight of his possible involvement every day. She pushed harder, questioned herself more, and meticulously honed her concept. Knowing that Eric might join her raised the stakes, but it also made the work more important. When Eric ultimately agreed to join the company, it was not announced with much enthusiasm. It was distinguished by a straightforward meeting, a handshake, and a mutual understanding. The circumstances he established were not forgotten. Rather, they were guiding principles that were woven into the company's culture from the start. Their collaboration did not erase the past, nor did it resolve all problems. There were still disagreements, times of doubt, and outside pressures that strained their determination. But there was also trust, which is a rare and strong thing that develops gradually through constancy and respect. Eric found renewed meaning in training emerging designers and creating collections that valued workmanship while embracing new concepts. Katie gained confidence in her leadership abilities, knowing she wasn't alone and that her decisions were based on both vision and experience. They worked together to build something characterized by intention rather than competition or comparison. The conditions that had before appeared to be impediments were the very causes for their collaboration's success. They reminded each other that success was more than just growth. It was about ethics. Eric recognized over time that saying yes to Katie was one of the most important decisions of his life. Not because it increased his influence, but because it allowed him to be a part of something genuine and growing. Katie knew that earning his trust had empowered her in unexpected ways. Their narrative was not one of tremendous success or failure. It was quieter than that and deeper. It was about two individuals deciding to meet each other with clarity, setting boundaries not to control, but to defend what was most important. In doing so, they demonstrated that even in an ambition-driven environment, teamwork based on respect can thrive.